And we'll get the answer to that from Rick Stroud, who is a writer for the Tampa Bay Times and host on 620 WDAE down in Tampa. Rick, thanks for joining me this morning.
Good morning, Tiki. Thanks for having me.
How is camp going for Jameis Winston? Because we see some good things and then we see some bad things. It's almost as if it's an extension of his senior year or his last year. It wasn't his senior year, his last year at Florida State. Some good, some bad, but some pretty good leadership in the locker room, I think, is what's most important.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, Tiki. And, with rookie quarterbacks, you're going to get that. I think Jameis has shown that this isn't too big for him, number one, and he shows those flashes of brilliance. He's got a big-time arm. He's not afraid. He will come back after a mistake, which we saw at Florida State, and continue to fire the ball in there. When things have operated smoothly, when he's gotten the protection, he's actually done very well. Unfortunately, the Bucs are trying to thread the needle a little bit here because not only do they have the rookie quarterback and the number one pick, but those guys typically go to bad football teams.
Yep.
And he went to one. That's why they have two rookie offensive linemen in the left tackle and Donovan Smith and the right guard Ali Marpet. And, that offensive line has been problematic. They've given up 13 sacks already this preseason. That's the most in the NFL. Jameis has been sacked 7 times, which is the most of any quarterback. So for the amount of time that he's played, if you calculated that out, that would almost set a record in the NFL, and that's what they can't have is this guy being exposed to that many hits.
Yeah, sometimes you can mitigate that by having a strong run game. Doug Martin, who had an off year last year, but seems healthy and he seems invigorated this year. What's he look like in camp? Because I think he's a key for a young quarterback.
Well, you know that all too well, Tiki, and I think the best thing you can do as quarterback is turn the ball and hand it to somebody like yourself. And Doug Martin is a guy that has recommitted himself. Injuries has been his story after his rookie year, 1,454 yards. He had the labrum tear his next year. Last year was a combination of knee and hamstrings. And so what he did was he went out and really started taking care of his body. He lost some weight. He's down around 212 pounds, I think. Can play as low as 208, and he looks faster, and he's practicing harder, finishing runs. He's got his little explosion back that he had his rookie year. And, oh, by the way, it doesn't hurt that they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, and this is a contract year for Doug Martin. He's all too well aware of that, so he's a motivated player. And he does, for now, look like the guy that they had the rookie season.
Yeah, have you stopped calling him Muscle Hamster, by the way?
Yeah, I don't do that to his face anymore. I don't like that nickname at all. We call him the Dougie.
Yeah, call him the Dougie. That's a good one. How about Mike Evans and Vincent Jackson, 2 targets for Jameis Winston, as well as Severin Jenkins. There's some big guys down there that could probably I guess also mitigate Jameis Winston's transition to starting quarterback.
Oh, yeah, I think it's going to help him a lot. You got these big 6'5" guys that they used to call when they had them all together, the Duncaneers, big targets, big wide catching radiuses. And, Mike Evans is special. And we'll see if he can duplicate or build onto his rookie season. I think if he had played there in New York with the Giants like Odell Beckham, he might have gotten more votes. But
Yep.
He had an outstanding rookie season. He's a little dinged up right now with a hamstring. They're being careful with him. Vincent Jackson just keeps turning out 1,000-yard seasons. He's a great leader. And then you mentioned a guy that's kind of the key to this thing. If Austin Severin Jenkins as a tight end can stay on the field, he only played 8 games last year. He's got terrific hands. He's a matchup nightmare for a lot of teams. I think he'll be a nice safety valve in the middle of the field for Jameis Winston if they can get that chemistry going.
Talking to Rick Stroud here, Bucs writer for the Tampa Bay Times and on 620 WDAE down in Tampa. How about the defensive side of the ball? Gerald McCoy is a name that we know. Obviously, Levante David just got an extension. Altron Verner's in the secondary. Is this defense going to be live up to what Lovie Smith expects of them this season?
Well, they have to, Tiki, if they're going to have any success at all, because they're going to have to rely on that defense to get Jameis field position. We've seen it during the preseason. The first 2 games, they turned the ball over for the other team 6 times. They had 6 takeaways, and that's what Lovie Smith's teams have always done. Averaged 34 takeaways a year in Chicago. Last year, just 25 for the Bucs, and they're big on that this season. I think a key, though, is going to be trying to find an outside pass rusher to go with those guys inside. And Gerald McCoy in particular. Jackie Smith has been injured. We've seen some things from George Johnson that look good. The biggest surprise, or maybe the nicest addition, has been their new Mike linebacker, Quan Alexander. This kid's a 21-year-old, 4th-round pick out of LSU. He absolutely fly. And him and Levante David are going to be two of the best linebackers, I think, 3-down linebackers in football this year. Levante has been an all-pro, so have to rely on those guys on the back end. They're still looking for some safety help. They think they're pretty good at the corners. They're not real deep, but nobody is. So, yeah, that defense is going to have to lead them, especially for that young quarterback to have success.
Rick, we only got about a minute left, but I guess the brass tacks for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, do they compete this year or are they a year away?
I think they're probably still another draft away. I think they ought to add some defensive linemen, some pass rushers. But in this NFC South, Tiki, 8-8 won it last year, 7-9 can win it, any year. And you just don't know. I wouldn't write them off, but they'll have to get off to a fast start, and that starts with the Tennessee game against Marcus Mariota right here in Tampa on September 13th.
Yeah, could they have put that one any better? I mean, it's a great scheduling by the National Football League. Rick Stroud, writer for the Tampa Bay Times and host on 620 WDAE down in Tampa. I appreciate you this morning.
Thanks, Tiki. Have a good one.
You as